Tonight I have a update on a 3.5, 4-year-old story that I wanted to share with you guys. And this one is pretty wild, and it just really touches on the fact that some parents just really don't understand what it means to put their children first. They really don't. Let's just dive right in, okay? It all started back in September 2021 when Tom Phillips and his three kids, Jada, Maverick, and Ember, first went missing. Tom's truck was found ditched on a remote beach, and it kicked off a huge search because people thought that, the family somehow had gotten swept out to sea. The search goes on, and then 19 days later, they just walk out of the brush and into a family farmhouse. Phillips said they just been on a long camping trip. That's all. So he got charged for wasting police time, but before his court date in December of 2021, he and the kids vanished again. This time for good. The reason? Well, it all came down to a custody dispute with the children's mother. Phillips, who didn't have legal custody, decided he'd rather become a fugitive and take his kids off the grid and into the wilderness instead of give them up or share them with the mom. So for the next 3.5 years, Phillips and his kids basically fell off the map. Police launched a huge investigation, but actually seeing them was incredibly rare. Cops and the family made public pleas for help, and there was even a reward for any information. But Phillips and the three children stayed ghosts. So how could a man and three little kids, not older kids, little kids, just disappear for that long? Well, clues started popping up in some pretty bold and criminal ways. Police believed that Phillips was behind an armed bank robbery in September of 2023 and a few other burglaries, sometimes with one of his own kids helping him. Again, little kids. But these heists were caught on grainy security cameras. So, of course, little details could be made out about where they'd come from or give many clues on how to find them. And it was a risky way to get supplies, but it did prove that the children were still out there. So it all came to a head in the early morning hours of September 8th, 2025. Police got a call about a burglary at a rural supply store in the small town of Piopio, I think it's called. Officers on the scene spotted two people taking off on a quad. They laid down road spikes and it stopped the quad, but as the first officer got out of his car, he was hit with gunfire from a high-powered rifle and was struck in the head. A second police car arrived and returned fire, and in the shootout, Tom Phillips was shot and killed. And standing right there beside him, bearing witness to this horrible shootout, was one of the children. The child was physically okay, but he was now at the center of a crime scene. With one officer critically injured and being flown to the hospital, an urgent news search began because two children were still out there, still missing. The big break came when the child found at the scene ended up working with police, helping them to figure out where the family's hidden camp was. In about 13 hours after the shootout, police found the other two kids safe and sound. They were at a makeshift camp deep in the bush, which was stocked full of supplies and several guns. The children, now aged 12, 10, and 9, spent a huge chunk of their childhood completely off the grid with no schooling or regular access to health care. The nearly 4-year manhunt for Tom Phillips is finally over and his children are safe, and their mother says that she's deeply relieved that this ordeal has come to an end. But the story isn't finished because police are now digging into how Phillips managed to stay hidden for so long with three small children, and more importantly, who might have been helping him. Because finding a well-stocked camp with quads and multiple firearms suggests that he definitely wasn't doing it all on his own. This is one of these stories that really gets to me because you've got a father who makes it all about him and what he wants and what he needs, right? His wants and needs is all that really matters. That's it. Like, how are you going to put all of your needs before your own kids? Kids need to have friends. They need to socialize. They need medical care. They need their mother. They need family. They need schooling, education. And what do? You make it all about you. What a piece of crap. And I would love to hear who ended up helping this asshole for 3.5 years. Because, yeah, they're right. Quads, like you got quads and guns. Where are you getting this stuff at? You got your kids out here committing crimes instead of going to school and making friends. He robbed them of their childhood. That's what he did. He robbed them of their childhood. It's just sad. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.